top brand management voice on LinkedIn. You're also the author of the Practical Marketeer book, and you're also executive vice president of marketing at Vodafone Ideas. So I think, thank you so much, sir, for bringing in your extensive experience that will be very useful to the participants, who are many of them in the early stages of their career and looking forward to do their MBA in the near future. So it means a lot to have this opportunity to be able to interact with such a senior leadership at this stage. So thanks a lot. Would give it over to you for your introduction in brief about how your journey has been.
Sure. Thank you, Alicia, for having me on this platform, and I'm really, hopeful that I am able to help some of the students which have joined on the course. I, of course, have a journey of almost 2 decades. I have done about 10 years with Cadbury's, 5 with Britannia, a couple with Diageo, and the last 2 years I've been the executive vice president with Vodafone Idea, handling prepaid market. So it has been a very exciting journey for me. Of course, while I've had one journey, which is my professional career, the other journey has been on the personal side, where, over the last 3, 4 years, I built a community of around 45,000 followers on LinkedIn, shared a lot of my views, and, all of those writings from students who were benefiting from my reads resulted in a book called The Practical Marketeer, which is a handy help guide for anybody wanting to understand what a career in marketing is.
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot, Saurabh, for the introduction. We would love to cover about your book specifically. We have a section allocated about your book so that it would help many more people to get an idea about marketing and learn a lot. So we would try to cover that in the end. Meanwhile, to the participants, I have opened the Q&A. Guys, feel free to post in your questions and utilize the maximum of this opportunity by asking Saurabh sir any questions that you have in mind. Sir has done his MBA from IIM Indore and has done his civil engineering from Delhi University. So, based on your questions about MBA, about preparation, about MBA life, or specifically careers in marketing after MBA, how they are like, how the journey starts, how to grow in your career, or any questions that you have about how marketing really is, you can feel free to post in to Saurabh sir, and we'll try to take in as many questions as we can. But sir, meanwhile, let me start with a few questions while
Alicia,
we the
just one
participants.
quick one more.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So the only quick comment is we'll be giving across 3 to 5 books of the Practical Marketeer to say 3 to 5 people who ask the most insightful questions to help us keep track of the questions. If some of the people who have asked their questions can also put their questions on chat, that will be useful for help us to evaluate who are those people who have asked the best questions, and they will be personally autographed and signed by me. So, feel free to dive in and make the most of the session.
So now I'm going to make a fake account and join this session again with another name. I'm going to take all the 3 to 5 books. Yeah, so thanks a lot for this opportunity. It's a wonderful opportunity, sir, to be sharing your book and giving away that knowledge in this format. So it means a lot. So I think the questions have started pouring in since you mentioned that. So the person has posted anonymously. So guys, please post in with your names, because as sir mentioned, 3 to 5 books will be distributed to the most insightful questions. So please feel free to post non-anonymously also if you wish. So, sir, the first question is, do we mainly get sales jobs after doing MBA in marketing?
Great. I think this also leads to the first question, Alicia, that you had planned out. Maybe you could also articulate that question so we can take it at one go.
Yeah, so my question was more along the lines of, once you do your MBA, what are the type of early stage careers that are available? And somebody who wants to choose between what role should they go for, whether it is sales or marketing, how do they make the decision?
Great, great. So, Alicia, I recently pulled together a very nice session, which I will probably upload onto my YouTube page soon, where I essentially talk about, career journeys. So now in that, what I essentially talked about is to really build your career, it is first very important to visualize who you should be. And it is very important to understand who you should be, not now, but around 15 years down the line. Because, in the short term, in 2 to 3 years, nothing seems possible. Everything seems very difficult, right? And we always keep cribbing, saying that, they are biased towards somebody else. They only want people from this campus, that campus. We have 100 reasons not to pursue a very, very rich and fruitful career. But in 15 years, everything seems possible. Anybody and whoever we want to be like, we can be that person in 15 years. Now, how do you select whom do you want to be like in 15 years? LinkedIn is the best option. Go on to LinkedIn, start searching profiles. Say, search my profile, search profile of any, say, 5 to 10 people who inspire you, who are, say, around 15 years older than you. Maybe they are at the age of 40. When you find these people who inspire you, now go through their journeys. When you go through their journeys, then you will realize there are certain patterns. Maybe a B school degree in a good campus is something that they would have done. Maybe 7, 8 years of sales they would have done. Maybe they might have started the journey from FMCG. Maybe they would have done, something all across the country just to get a flavor of the entire country. But these are some of the patterns that I observe. And when I observed those patterns from campus, when I passed out of IIM Indore, I actually had 3 job offers. I had a job offer from Maruti, from Madura Governments, and Wipro Consumer. Wipro Consumer Care was paying me 30% lower than the other 2 offers. But yet I picked up Wipro Consumer Care at a lower salary at a location like Haldwani in the middle of nowhere to do a very tough job in sales to go all across the hill, right, all across the mountain, through the toughest of situations in sales because I realized I have not seen any CMO who has not started his career with sales. And hence, I believe that if you want to succeed in your career, you have to start it with from the toughest of situations. I got out of the comfort zone by picking up sales, but I also worked all across the country. I did my summers with Coca-Cola in Bhubaneswar. I did my management trainee stint in Moradabad and then Haldwani. I took up my job with Cadbury's in Vijayawada. I mean, I saw 40 Telugu movies there, okay, because I was there for 2.5 years. So I went through the length and breadth of the country without any worry of my comfort zone, without any worry of saying that, will I do well or not? Will I be able to move from sales to marketing? I didn't ask myself those questions. I only asked myself, can I perform? Can I do well? Can I work harder than the other guy? Right? Can I prove myself? And because I came up with that, initial hardworking, winning attitude, I was then able to navigate my career successfully into marketing over the last 2 decades.
Thank you so much, Saurabh. That's been quite insightful. And as you mentioned, that even if it's a sales role, it can help you in marketing also later on. So that's a very valid point. So the next question is from Bhavya. Wanted to know what are the skill sets required to get into marketing field?
Sure. So, like I said, again, my realization through the last 2 decades is that marketing is not strategy. Most people tend to think that a marketer's job is to make beautiful ad campaigns. People think a marketer's job is to do stuff which is very glamorous, to make very very insightful strategy statements. Not really. The job of a marketer is essentially the job of a startup founder. You are nothing but an entrepreneur hired by large organizations to run your business models. And the entire expectation from you is the same expectation that you will have from a startup founder. A startup founder's first worry will be, does my product sell? And hence, rallying the sales team will be your number one task as a marketer. Number two task that a startup founder will ask himself is, am I making money? And hence, understanding the P&L, delivering a profitable mix will be your second concern. The third concern of a startup founder is, do I have the right product? Is my product healthy? Is it better than competition? And refining and making a better quality product at the right price will be a third challenge. And finally, we'll probably building a long-term vision or strategy. But a long-term vision and strategy doesn't come first. What comes first is, do I understand the P&L? Can I rally sales to sell my product? Am I giving genuinely a better quality product than my competition? Only when these basics are sorted can then you think about promotions and advertising and hence be a good market.
Yes, thank you so much, Saurabh, for mentioning the 3 points wonderfully. So the next question is from Vanshika. Which colleges should we choose to go for MBA with specialization in marketing?
See, all through my career, whether it is when I was trying to find a publisher for my book, or whether I was trying to find the right campus to do my marketing, or when I was trying to switch my job mainstream and middle through my career and decide which company to do it, right? I do a very simple thing. I first spray and pray, so I apply everywhere. Then I promise myself, this is it. I'm going to do my very best right now. I'm not going to say, Abhi, I'm trying half-hearted. I can also do a second attempt. And I don't do that. I decide if I want to get into an B school right now I have to do it. In the next 6 months, I will do my 100%. I will give it my best foot forward. I will not say that, I wish I could have done a little better. So I will go all out. I will just be absolutely desperate. I will go absolutely crazy. I will do my best. But then I will apply everywhere. I will apply to as many places as possible. When I've applied everywhere, then I will see what is the best out of the lot. So when I was preparing for my MBA, the first campus that I actually cleared was IIT Kharagpur for MBA. And I was a little disappointed because I did not want to do a technical marketing specialty because, I realized that the companies that come there really tended to be more industrial in nature, right? The next campus that I cleared was MICA. Again, I was a little uncomfortable because I realized that Micans don't do analytics skills very well. They do more pure play communication, and they become say insights head. So I was like, not bad, but maybe still not right. Yeah, I tried to clear SPGen. I was there in the final interview, but I did not get the call. I got calls from a few other campuses, but I was not clearing any of them. But then 2 weeks just before my engineering degree with Delhi College Engineering was due to get over, probably the second list of IIM Indore is what I cleared. And when I cleared IIM Indore only had 57 students. It was just the sixth year, right? So I joined IIM Indore because IIM Indore seemed the best out of what I had got on hand. But when I joined IIM Indore, I said, I am going to be the poster child of marketing here. That campus then was not famous for marketing. It was actually well known more for supply chain and IT because they used to hire people with 3 to 5 years experience, and I was a fresher. So I became the marketing club secretary. I founded Utsaha, the marketing fair. And I was very confident that if there is going to be one guy who will take a job from FMCG from this campus, it will be me. And hence, while on day zero, I had cleared Madura Garments and Maruti, I had spoken to my Playcom team saying that even in day one and day two, if an FMCG comes, I won't apply for that. And I was able to then clear Wipro Consumer and then build my journey in FMCG.
That's an amazing experience, Saurabh. Thanks a lot for sharing your personal journey after MBA placement. So that's very inspiring. The next question is from Malaika. Do you feel like one should do a specialized MBA marketing course, for example, pharmaceutical marketing, or a general MBA marketing course?
See, it goes back to your vision. And I have had this crisis of confidence or this set of a worry that am I going the right direction. I've had it 3 times in my career. The first time I had this crisis of confidence was in my third year of engineering, where I was not sure which direction I'm heading. In an ideal world, I would have done research in physics. I had a 97 in my class 12 physics, and I felt that maybe I should do pure play research. But I landed up in engineering, and I didn't like engineering. Then I thought maybe I should do C++. I didn't like computers. I thought maybe IAS, IES. I didn't like any of those degrees, right? I spoke to some 50, 60 people. Then I met these very interesting people in a train ride back from Bombay to Delhi. And these guys were doing their MBA from NITI. That's where I got a glimmer of saying that, what, these people are like me. Maybe MBA is what I want to do. And that's when I got the first set of clarity. The second set of clarity I got around the age of 26, 27, when I had just started my sales career. I moved into marketing and I was like, should I change my job? I'm doing well in Cadbury's, but a lot of people can become CMOs at the age of 30. So I went again on LinkedIn or equivalent on, say, Google, and I checked out profiles. I realized people become CMOs at 30 or they become CMOs at 40. People who become CMOs at 30, they become CMOs of, say, 1,000 crore companies, startups, insurance companies, but then they change the jobs every 2 years and they never go beyond that. Well, people who become CMOs at 40, they do at least 7 to 8 years in sales. So after doing a brand stint, I went back to sales as a senior sales guy because I said, I want to be an holistic marketer. I need to do all the edges of it. And then at 40, I will become that marketer. Similarly, at the age of around 40, I realized that, I've done 18, 19 years in FMCG, but I felt that the market is evolving and I need to learn more. That's when I really realized that what is changing, right? So what I've not done is scale. And, today with Vodafone Idea, I'm handling a 30,000 crore business. Second, I've not done technology. I have today the database of 200 million subscribers, right? I've not done digital, and 60% of my business currently comes from digital. So I again pivoted. I picked up something new because these are the new skills that I needed to develop for the next 20 years. So hence, whenever you have a crisis of confidence or a doubt, try to look into the future, try to find profiles that excite you of who you can be like 10 to 15 years down the line. In fact, what I would recommend for people is go to my LinkedIn page. On my LinkedIn page, in my featured articles, there is an article saying coaching and mentoring what the world needs. In that article of coaching and mentoring what the world needs, there is this framework on how do you build a vision for yourself, right? As you go through it, you will get a lot more of an idea on how do you build that vision. Once you build a vision for yourself 15 years down the line, then the pieces start adding up. Am I really passionate about pharma? Do I want to do a pharma market? Am I really passionate about, say, digital? And do I only want to do a digital domain? Now, in my opinion, marketeers are entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs need to know everything. So I would always be biased towards a pure play marketing course in the best possible B school that I can find. But each person's journey is an individual journey. They need to decide what really they are passionate about and what they are likely to find fulfillment in the long term.
With digital media spends growing in double digits versus TV being in single digits, as a brand marketeer in FMCG premium beauty products, what do you suggest should be the long term strategy in media spends?
For a startup founder or for a businessman, right, you need to balance your curiosity with pragmatism, right? It is very important to be curious, but it is very important not to burst your bank, right? And I've done a lot of amazing interventions in digital, but I have been very, very careful to keep an eye on my bottom line and to keep an eye on business impact, right? So the first time I did something large in digital was way back in 2009. In 2009, Facebook was just emerging, and we had Facebook fan pages just starting with brands. So I created a Facebook fan page for celebrations, and I did not put any money. I put very little money. I just put out a retainer of 15,000 rupees a month. Yeah. I put social at the center of my campaigns. So I said, consumers, what do they like to do on social? They like to put user generated content. So what's my proposition? My proposition of Cadbury celebrations was Rishto mein gholo shararat. So I told brothers and sisters, put up pictures of shararat with your sibling on Facebook page, fan page of celebrations. As they put up their pictures and there was a lot of user generated content, I gave them free, I gave the winners photo shoots. So I gave them professional photo shoots of brothers and sisters. I gave these photo shoot images to outdoor companies and I made sexy hoardings with those pictures. I gave the same pictures to Times of India and we made a very nice advertorial. So I put user generated content and I put social at the center. And around that, I put my 360. So in 6 months, we grew Facebook from zero fans to 1 million fans. And we were the top five brands in the country to do that. But I did not spend too much of money. I didn't burst the bank. I just realized that on social, what do people really require to do? It's not a simple advertising. Similarly, when I was in the pandemic and the cheese sales were growing because 60% of cheese is sold by restaurants. Restaurants were shut, so I knew my cheese sale will grow. And what do people need to do then? They need to learn how to make a pizza. So far, they were only ordering for a Domino's. So I said, how do I ride upon this wave? I ride upon this wave of people wanting to learn pizzas by going to India Food Network, who happened to have Saif Ali Khan as a part of their deal on altogether. I did not have to crack a deal with Saif Ali Khan. Saif Ali Khan had a deal with India Food Network. So I created Britannia Cheese Food Chef, which got more than 10 million views. And I spent a very, very limited amount of money, but I had the biggest and the best digital initiative that has ever done. Now, when digital is growing, it is not about putting more money on digital. It is about using digital right. It is about using digital for the way it is meant to be used. And digital may not be a substitution for your media plans. You might need to do media plans for reach, but frequency, engagement, behavior shift might happen through digital as an add-on media. So it is very important to make judicious choice.
Sure. Thank you so much, Saurabh, for that. The next question is from Bhavesh. He asks, it is said that sales is usually one of the most stressful positions because you are expected to work for the profit of the company and meet the sales target. So, how does one deal with the stress? And is it possible to do pure play marketing without sales?
Hey, sales is definitely stressful, right? Sales is definitely stressful because you need to deliver the shift on an everyday basis. But the biggest disasters that can happen in organization need not necessarily happen because of salespeople. It is usually a marketeer's fault because marketeers manages the long term, right? Marketeers need to make calls ahead of the curve. If a Kodak lost the digital wave, it is because of a marketeer, not because of a sales guy, right? A sales guy might have continued selling their digital reels, but the marketeer did not have the gumption to convince the organization that the market is moving toward digital cameras. Similarly, if Nokia lost the plot when it came to smartphones, it is probably not a sales guy's fault. It is probably a marketeer who was at fault because they could not predict or they could not crack the deals on the operating system. And a lot of these videos where you can understand behind the scenes what exactly happened, right, in say things like Nokia, right? All of these are there in my website called the practicalmarketeer.in. If you go to this website, you will be able to find in the podcast section about 20-25 stories where I talk to real marketing heads and I talk to real people in the creative team where some of these marketing problems are discussed in depth. Yeah. Now, because the marketeer can actually cause larger damage, before a person becomes a marketeer, he is usually required to demonstrate his acumen in sales. And I am completely in the camp of saying that if you really want to become a business owner or a marketeer, you had better prove yourself at sales because the job of a marketeer is to make life easy for that salesman who earns a salary of 10,000 rupees at the front line. Only if you're making his job easier, if he is able to sell in products better, because the marketeer on the back end has realized these patterns and built a better plan, only then you'll be successful as a marketer. And to understand that, I think doing a sales job is very critical. And hence, if in the long term you want to become a marketeer, I would always suggest you do, sales first. If you say, I like marketing, but I don't have the passion enough to be a business owner, then work in an ad agency. Now, if you work in an ad agency, you can work with great marketing tools and tasks. You can have a lot of fun, and you'll have a very stressful life because the amount of work expected out of an ad agency guy is very very high, and salaries are not great, right? Because they don't hold the accountability that a business owner or a marketeer does. So only and only if you are able to take on the stress of a business owner, of a startup founder, only then a long-term marketing career is for you. If a long-term career is not for you, and if you cannot take on that, if you don't have that confidence to take on the stress of being a business owner, then it is better to do an ancillary job. An ancillary job could be somebody in the insights function. You can join a qualitative research agency. You can join a quantitative research agency. You can work in an ad agency. You can work in Nielsen. You can work in so many ways where you're dealing with marketing, but you're not taking on the ownership. And that's where the fun is lesser and the stress is less. Finally, the stress only comes in when you also take on the stress. Alicia, I'm going to need your help to help evaluate those five winners eventually because I'm not necessarily reading out the names. So maybe we can have a discussion as well later.
All right, thank you so much, sir. So the next question is from Shraddha. If one is interested in fashion and brands, does brand management is brand management good for them and how?
Again, usually my answer is a little repetitive now, but the answer still is eventually what do you want to do? Yeah. Now, there's a Venn diagram. Okay. There is passion or purpose and pragmatism. Now, you might want to do a marketing job in, say, fashion design, but then you may not get those calls, right? And then what do you do, right? Or you might like fashion design more, but you may not get a job in marketing, right? But the question is, what do you really like more? So as you go through your journey, you need to keep balancing. And the reason why that balance helps is because when you have a long-term goal, slowly and steadily you can move in that direction. Right now, for example, at in my campus, I decided to become a marketer. And hence I said I want to get a career in, say, FMCG. My first couple of jobs which I got were not, I did not clear FMCG interviews. I had cleared Maruti. I luckily cleared Wipro consumer, so I joined. I might not have cleared, right? Similarly, I joined FMCG sales. I may not have got a chance to move into marketing, but I was like, fine, let me enjoy what I'm doing. Then I went through my career in FMCG and I got stuck in sales at a point. So I needed to take a compromise. I said, who needs marketeers? Maybe alcohol companies, right? So I joined Diageo, right? So at each point in time, you have to make that right compromise. But the compromise is only makes sense if the long-term goal is clear. If you are very clear in the long term, who do you have to be and what is it that you are really passionate about, only then it makes sense.
All right, thank you so much, sir. That does align with what you had mentioned before about first finding out your purpose and then it falls through. So, Ayan is asking, how crucial is the marketing team's role in Vodafone Idea's turnaround story, and what are some innovative strategies? If
Again,
you
I will
can.
not be talking about my day job as Vodafone.
All right. Uh, Another question from Ayan. Sir, how do you see the interplay between human creativity and AI driven marketing strategies evolving in the coming years?
Sure. See, AI right now is just a toy. Okay, right now, I wouldn't say it is reach fruition because 2, 3 years back, metaverse was a toy. Everybody wanted to dabble with metaverse, right? So there are things which are fads and there are things which are trends, right? Social media in 2007, 8, 9 seemed to be a fad, and we were not very sure whether it will sustain. By 2008, 9, 10, it started becoming a trend, right? And hence, when it became a trend, it is something that Facebook and all picked up, right? Today, WhatsApp is a bit of a trend, right? So there is a lot of enthusiasm in that space, right? Similarly, it takes certain time for new technologies to mature, to move from a fads to a trend. Yeah. Now, in this journey, when a fad is moving from a trend, there are 3 to 5 things that one can do as a marketer. The first thing that you can do as a marketer is to use it in your creative campaigns and storytelling, right? And if you see the example of Five which made this ad of Do Nothing Academy, because in the future you'll have to do nothing, that is a very fun way of using AI in creativity. The second use case of AI is where Shah Rukh Khan was used in the lovely campaign which won Cannes for Mondelez, where they had talked about how Shah Rukh Khan is using geo positioning to put in the name of a real retailer next door to you, right? Through a AI powered film for Cadbury celebrations. That's a nice use case where AI was used, right? Similarly, AI is being used for our PNs, for our post notifications for our apps to give more creative scripts. AI is being used for giving the right offer to the right person, like in the case of telecom or banking or credit cards, when you get specialized prices or discounts, right? That is where there is AI at work. AI is again ensured that on Ola and Uber, they give the right price to the right customer. There are certain customers who might be in a hurry. They might want convenience and they want to get the cab very fast and they're willing to pay a little bit more, right? While there are other customers who have their free time, but they want it cheap. That's where the algorithm of Ola and Uber helps give the right price for the right customer. Yeah, that's a way of using AI. So AI will have a lot of manifestations. The biggest manifestation of AI is in personalization, is in giving a personalized offer to each person. Yeah. But like any other field, it will continue to evolve. New use cases will emerge. Some will be used for PR and storytelling. Some will be used for making your own jobs more efficient.
Right, thank you so much, Saurabh. So the next question is from Mayank. What inspired you to write the book?
Sure. So we should definitely keep his name aside for one copy of the book. So anyway, so now what essentially happened as I went through the pandemic is that I knew that I wanted to write a book. When I mentioned that link on my page on LinkedIn, the whole article of coaching and mentoring, what the world needs. And around the age of 26, I had made this 3 by 3 grid for myself, right? Where it is 5, 10, 15 years, professional life, personal life, and interests and hobbies. Where I try to build a vision saying that after 15 years, what all do I want to achieve? professionally, personally, and in my interests and hobbies. So then and there itself, I had written that at one point in time, I definitely want to write a book. And I had written maybe around, say, 36, 37. So I really wanted, and I tried many times to write, but I was not able to write. It's very difficult to write a book. So then what I said is, let me do free sampling. Let me try to share my thoughts and ideas on LinkedIn. And in 2020, in the first week of the lockdown, I put out my first post. That first post got 35,000 views. And I realized that there is some interest. Yeah. So then I promised myself one post every week. So next Saturday, 15,000 views. Third Saturday, 25,000 views. And, over the journey, I built a following of some 45,000 followers. Now, as I built this following, from the post came articles, from the articles came talks at campuses. And, when I created a lot of material, I gave all this material to a very good friend called Rajesh Srinivasan, who calls himself a CMO on hire when it comes on LinkedIn. He actually sat down and went through all my material. And from my material, he found the book. He discovered the book. He found from my articles that this is the script, and he made the entire structure and the topics page and he sent it to me. And he said that, Saurabh, you've already written 14,000 words out of a 40,000 word. So I actually owe him big time, right? And because he gave the structure, I just had to fill in the gaps. So as I filled in the gaps and I wrote the entire script and the book out there, I knew that this is gonna work because through the pandemic, I had also started taking phone calls. And as students, entrepreneurs, professionals would call me saying they are stuck in their career, I would answer questions. When I would answer certain questions, I would put those answers back on LinkedIn, and some of those answers will get 100,000 views. So I realized that there is a lot of information and knowledge that I have, and I need to share it with other people. And hence, in that book, in that story of say 280 odd pages, my entire learnings end to end on how marketing is done is something that I put down, right? And hence, it should be a treasure trove of information for anybody wanting to, build a journey or in marketing or understand their career in marketing. One of the first things which you must do to figure out whether you have an acumen for marketing, right, is to try to take this quiz. I've again just put a link on the chat window. You guys can take this quiz. If you get 4 out of 7 right, you can also download a certificate. Feel free to tag me on LinkedIn if you do try that quiz. It's fun, but it just tells you whether you have an acumen for marketing or not, right? But essentially, this need to share my knowledge and my need to share my learnings and to let people participate, literally into my mind, in the way I have thought, in the way I've actually done. And the book is very autobiographical because it is about real stories. I faced this problem. This is how I solved it. And hence the entire story, end to end, comprehensive learning of marketing is very, very, easily understandable. And like I said, autobiographical. Yeah. So I've just sent the link. Are they not able to get it, Alicia? Because some people are saying, can you please share the quiz link?
Yeah, you have shared among hosts and panelists. I have put
Okay.
it now. Everyone should be having the link.
Okay.
Guys, it is thepracticalmarketeer.in/quiz. So please do check it out and give the quiz a try to know your acumen for marketing. Yeah.
Sure.
Meanwhile, yeah, thanks, Saurabh. So the next question is from Om Raheja. It is, what is your take on storytelling in marketing as being important for promoting brand growth?
Sure. Somebody once said, and I think it is Thomas Friedman, in The World is Flat, or is it in Sapiens, these wonderful books, where they said that the biggest invention of mankind is storytelling. Storytelling helps give a realistic image. I mean, helps us organize the world around us. Otherwise, world is a very chaotic place. Anything can happen all the time. It is when we tell stories that we organize our world, right? Now, similarly, as a marketer, you can have random pieces of data hitting you. There could be a GDP growth which is growing, but there is employment that is falling. There is FDI coming in, but there is volume growth not happening. So all of these diverse data points can be very confusing. It can be very difficult to make a strategy. What a marketer does is he organizes all of this information to tell a story. And that narrative or the story that he tells can then become a brand strategy. And hence, it is not just about emotional advertising, but it is also about crafting strategy. That storytelling becomes very important. And storytelling is nothing but a means of organizing the world around you in a manner that the narrative is coherent.
All right, Saurabh. Thanks a lot. So the next question is from Ayan. How can brands build authentic connection and trust without relying on traditional marketing tactics?
Sure. So, as I talked about that vision for yourself for the 15 years, that is exactly what a brand needs as well, right? And that whole idea of building the vision for yourself essentially came from brand building, and that came from a wonderful talk on YouTube, which all of you guys must go through. It is by Simon Sinek. So the talk is called "Start with the Why." If you check on YouTube, "Start with the Why" is was a talk given by Simon Sinek in 1994. That talk has got 40 million views. It is the third most watched TEDx talk of all times. What Simon Sinek says is that what is very boring. If I were to say I make shirts, it's very boring. I have shoes, it's very boring. I have chocolate, very boring. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares about it. But from the what, you need to go first into the how. How is it in? How do I make my chocolates? How do I make my clothes? How do I make my jeans? And then you have to go one deep level deeper, and that is a why. Why do I make chocolates? Why do I make clothes? Why do I make? And similarly, what inspires me to do marketing? What is my why? And then starting with the why is about purpose. It is about a cause. And people don't care about the what. They don't care who you are. They care about why you do it. I've written a book because I want to share my learnings. It's not that I've written a book on marketing, right? The purpose matters. Similarly, for your brand, what matters is the cause and purpose. And once your cause and purpose is clear, then that cause will be represented in everything that you do. Whether it is in your packaging, whether it is in the ingredients that you use, whether it is in the PR you get, whether it is in the actions you take, whether it is in the CSR that you do. Once that cause is clear, when your why is clear, why do you exist? When that is clear, then you don't necessarily need advertising. Every part of your mix tells a true story, tells you something which is real and genuine. And that is what people essentially want, are appealed and attracted.
Yeah, thank you so much, Saurabh, for
You
mentioning.
can
Guys,
put
do check.
that question aside as well as one of the winners. So we got two winners so far. We got Mayank and we got the person who just asked the last question. Yeah, just note down their names.
Ayan. Yeah, thanks,
Yeah.
Ayan, for asking the wonderful question. So, Ayan and Mike would request you to please put in your email IDs on the chat. So, for later communication, when we need to send the book to you, we would be coordinating through your email IDs. So, please put in your email IDs. And, guys, do check out the talk by Simon Snake, which Sir mentioned, which is Start with the Why. Uh, let's go to the next question from Om Raheja, which is in 2023, there were talks of uh, Q.com being a fad and not being able to survive long term, but that is proving to be untrue in 2024. Okay, sorry, I think they meant quick commerce.
Hmm.
And now we see Instamart, Blinkit, Zepto are growing and obtaining funding. So, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I think LinkedIn is completely awesome. I think they've done an absolutely great job, right? Now, there were a number of trends that, and I wrote very, very extensively during the pandemic. In fact, again, if you go onto my LinkedIn page, you'll find a number of articles that I've written through the pandemic. In fact, if you go to my YouTube page as well, while a lot of these talks are there on my the Practical Marketeer website, but it is also there on my YouTube page, all by the same name, the Practical Marketeer. So in the Practical Marketer, you'll find this entire video on YouTube about the pandemic trends, where I've broken apart all of the various fads and trends that were going on through the pandemic. Right now, certain things completely flopped, which was meant to. Like Amul launched a haldi ice cream. There is a person who launched a antiviral paint. Right. There were vest banyans which were supposed to be corona proof. Right. All that stuff was fads. It was bull. It was not likely to last. Right. The biggest unfortunate fall through the pandemic were online education. Everybody thought that all education will move online, and which is why Byju's is suffering, right? Though webinars are a hit, like we are doing this online webinar right now. We may not have done it if the pandemic had never come, right? Then the other thing that flopped was cloud kitchens. So home kitchens, they were everybody could not order from Swiggy, Zomato, so they had launched these portals where People could be home chefs, and within your own society, you could get food, right? So that had really taken off. But then that has collapsed now. We are back to the Swiggy Zomatos, right? But through all of that, I think one of the big success stories is your quick commerce. And again, yes, because it was a result of the time of the pandemic, people were not very sure whether it'll make money. But I think the whole new gig economy that has arisen, whether it is the drivers of Ola, Uber, or the delivery men of Swiggy, Blinkit, I think that's completely fascinating. I mean, I love it. I think it's a massive trend. And much like Paytms of the world or QR codes, which is a great trend in India, rest of the world has not caught up to it, right? In the US, you are not going to have payment, in a panwala with a QR code, right? So some of these things are very true of India as a nation, right? Because one, we don't like to use credit cards. Second, we have a lot of labor. The price of a driver in the US is the same as an engineer. So hence, you cannot afford to have a driver or a cook or a cleaner, but that labor at low prices is available in India. So India is uniquely positioned to deliver on quick commerce and hence the Blinkits of the world. It's not a model that is likely to work in the West because the price of labor is high, right? And hence there are certain unique characteristics of us as India that allowed certain things to thrive and certain things have collapsed.
Yeah, thank you so much, Saurabh, for that answer. So, guys, since we have the last section, which is going to be about the book, would like you to please put in if you have one or two last questions specifically that you wanted cover.
Alicia,
Otherwise, yeah.
Alicia, we need not speak specifically about the book. I'm comfortable. We can use the next 15 minutes for regular Q&A as well. So if there is an interesting question, I'm happy to take it. One question that had popped up a couple of times, I don't know by who, was about internships. And let me just address that because somebody had asked, I've done a couple of internships in sales. Should I now take forward my career, etc. See, guys, I'm very, very skeptical of internships. And I do not give a lot of credibility to internships. And hence, my recommendation to you is please do not spend too much of your time doing internships and do not believe that internships are really going to benefit you. Yeah. Internships is a good way to get a flavor, get some understanding, but individually, they do not carry value. What carries value is genuine experience. And genuine experience does not come by doing 2 months or 3 months somewhere. Yeah. So please look for long-term bets. Try to figure out where am I going to spend 2, 3, 4 years at. There is a lovely book written by Chandramouli Venkatesan. God bless his soul. He passed away a few years back, called The Catalyst. And I'm a big fan of the book The Catalyst because I really admired Chandramouli Venkatesan. And he really talked about the fact that there are only two things. There is knowledge and there is skill. Knowledge is what you gain by doing different things. So if you work for a year in a company or 2 years in a company or in 2 years in a role, you gain knowledge. But skill is learned when you do the same thing again and again. So hence my recommendation to everybody is when you plan for your career, plan in groups of 3 years at a time, to at least 3 years in a particular role or a company. But that is when you learn because the first year you're learning. The second year, you are just executing your learnings. The third year, when you have to grow on your own base, that is when skill gets developed. Your skill gets developed when you do long stints. When I worked with Cadbury's, I did 10 years, right? I did celebrations for 4 years. I did Britannia Dairy for 3 years. I did 5 years in Britannia, right? It is when you work on long-term skills stints that you learn. 2 months, 3 months of internships don't tell you really anything other than the fact that, yeah, it might be fun to do, but you're not really learning anything. So please focus on the long term. Please focus on large scales.
All right, thank you so much, Saurabh, for mentioning about the long-term bets over the short-term ones that we should take. So that's a very honest take on internships, and thanks for genuinely mentioning. I think it should help a lot of students. So there's a question by Pahel on how do we stay current with the industry trends and continue developing along with that trends.
See, a lot of the learning that we do is by doing. A lot of people say, which courses should I take? Right? Should I take another course for, say, digital marketing? Right? I said, no, don't take courses on digital. Instead, what I recommend to people is try to implement on your day job. So whichever small thing, whether it is artificial intelligence, whether it is any new learning, where anything that you want to do in the future, if you can figure out a way to execute it today, right? That is going to give you a value. I mean, the biggest use case of artificial intelligence in my house is my 11-year-old. My 11-year-old uses Chat GPT to solve his Marathi assignments because we're in Bombay and he has to learn aside Marathi, right? Now he has the entrepreneurship to use Chat GPT for his homework. Yeah. Now INU may not be doing that. Why aren't we doing it? Right. Similarly, in the case of marketing. Now I was in sales in Vijayawada for 2.5, 3 years. I wanted to move to marketing. How do I show that I have an acumen for marketing? Right. And this is just one of the stories which is there in my book, The Practical Marketeer. What I told my boss, the BSM Bhaskar Chaudhary, that if I have to beat Horlicks and Boost in Vijayawada, where I have a 7% market share, then I need visibility, and the visibility will not come by just stock weight alone. I have a great sales structure, I have great distributors, they're putting in stock, but that's not enough. I want to brand the top outlets with vinyl boards of Bonvita. And he says, Saurabh, why are you talking about it? That is the marketing team's job. I said, boss, I am convinced as an ASM, and this is way back in 2005. I had just got 1 year of experience. I had just started working, right? So I believed in it. So he said, 2 months of trade loads, which is the schemes that we take to sell into the retailer. You take that schemes, you will not get that scheme. That scheme money will take aside, and I'll give you vinyl boards. You tell your sales officers to execute. So I executed it, I implemented it, I showed its success, and that showed my acumen to move into marketing. So hence, if you want to demonstrate whether it is knowledge of industry, whether it is about keeping it abreast of trends, the question to ask yourself is, where can you use it in your day job today? If you're a student, can you make articles about it? Can you write assignments on it? If you are a sales guy, can you try to implement marketing learnings? And hence, books like The Practical Marketeer, which are about the practice of marketing and not the theory of marketing, are really what can be your guiding light to try to understand where does your acumen actually.
Yeah, thank you so much, Saurabh, for sharing that journey and experience. And I think it's very inspiring for many students. After MBA, they may join as a ASM, but as you mentioned, taking on responsibilities and proving your acumen in that role is it's really inspiring. So the next question is from Shraddha. If one wants to start one's own brand in clothes jewelry, does marketing degree help to explore the factors about the business?
Sure. So I think we should give the third book to Shraddha. You can take her name down. Yeah. Now, see, marketing is finally about entrepreneurship, but the shortest line between 2 points, yeah, the shortest journey between 2 points is a straight line. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, be an entrepreneur. What are you waiting for? Right? Rather, you try to understand what does it take to become an entrepreneur, right? Will marketing help? Sure, but you might be taking the long cut, right? Now, I've spent a lot of time with entrepreneurs. In fact, three entrepreneurs had recently read my book and posted reviews on LinkedIn. One of them is a guy called Tamal. He works in Hyderabad. He's the chief growth officer for, I think, Sid's Farm. A couple of others I just met recently. Again, all these are there. All these stories are there on my LinkedIn profile, right? Now, when I sat with them, I took them through the practical marketeer. I told them this is how you build your brand strategy, and you can start implementing it and learning it on a day-to-day basis, right? What marketing does is helps you organize your thinking, yeah, and hence marketing is great to do. But the longer you spend in your professional career, the less likely you are to be an entrepreneur because an entrepreneur needs a lot of risk appetite. As you go through your career, your ability to take risk diminishes because you have families, you have children, you have EMIs, right? You start earning salaries. As you earn salaries, you start spending all that money. Now, if you become an entrepreneur, you don't have any salary, but your ability to start spending doesn't stop. So you keep spending that money, right? So it is very difficult to adjust in the earlier years of a career is when you are highest, your ability to take the risk is the highest. So if you want to take a risk now, take the risk now. Don't wait to say that I will do marketing and then, so on and so forth. You like jewelry, you like clothes, great. Maybe there are far easier hacks. And again, like I said, when you go through my book, The Practical Marketeer, it breaks it down saying that as an entrepreneur, how do you plan your business journey? Right? Maybe that's all you require. Maybe you don't need a career. It has taken me 20 years to learn all that marketing. And I wrote that marketing in those 20 years because I realized in my conversations with my managing director and my business head that some of those factors of marketing for people who have got 30, 40 years in their career as well still may not be as obvious, right? And it is through presentations that I used to make for my boss that my articles emerged. Yeah, and that's what led to the book. So just because you spend time in corporate does not mean your fundas are going to become clear. Your fundas can become clearer just by being a very practical entrepreneur, and you might want to just do that journey faster.
That's wonderful, Saurabh. Thanks a lot for that answer. So, Saurabh would like to ask from my side a question now. So, what actually, throughout your marketing career, what has been the most surprising thing which took you by surprise that you were not expecting, and then you learned, and which is something you have also shared in the book? Could you share any such experience?
Sure. So, when I took on celebrations, right? When I took on celebrations, what happened is my managing director said in an open house, why should we shut down this brand? It's a massive shock for me. I'm like, what have you guys pushed me into, right? I've just started my career. I have 7, 8 months of experience, and you're putting me into the deep end. I mean, what am I going to do, right? And this was in 2008. Yeah. But that enabled me to take a step back and say, let me see what has been served to me. Okay, I've been served as 150 crore brand, which has got a negative bottom line. P&L is negative. For the last 15 years, they've been selling the product on loss at minus 5% operating income. And over the next 4 years, I turned it around. I grew from 150 crores to 300 crores. And I shifted the bottom line from minus 5% to plus 12%. Right now, as I did that journey, I realized the whole learning of being an entrepreneur. I did very, very amazing ad campaigns. I learned fascinating things of the consumer, and I loved all that. But what I really learned was how to make a business model work. How do you work with the supply chain and you remove wastages? How do you realize what we are doing for our own vanity? We used to create 26 new packs every year. I shut all of that down. I reduced it to 8 packs. We used to have various colors and shapes and sizes. I made it purple and gold. I just made it simple. I took decisions ahead of the curve like an entrepreneur. I gave confidence to my supply chain and my other partners. That lean on me. I am your entrepreneur. You want to put any risk, put it on my back. I will carry it for you. And I realized that you work when you ask other people what their dream is, right? And hence, I learned all of the fundamentals of marketing when I thought I got a raw deal, when I thought I've got something which is not great. And when I got that brand of 150 crores, I sat with my director's marketing and I said, you made a fool out of me. You've given me this very tough brand, which is very operationally heavy, and I'm just going to make gift packs every year. And he says, Ki, Saurabh, it is operationally challenging, but it's still a brand. And in the next 4 years, we won more awards from the industry on 150 crores of celebrations than the 2000 crores of data. And if you go onto the Mondelez website, you'll realize that that golden era when I was in celebrations in those 4 years, we won every award that the industry had to offer because we just decided to embrace what was given to us rather than being choosy about email or one email, right? And hence that openness to accept what is being given to you and make the most of it, I feel is the most crucial element of any individual. And maybe you also deserve a book for asking that question.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Saurabh. I think that's really wonderful and it's very inspiring. So, sir, if you have time, we could take one last question.
Sure. Let's
Yeah.
take one last question.
Thank you so much. So, there's a question from Shire. So, what would happen if one wants to start one's own branding house or advertising agency? Can one do that by learning books and articles himself?
Sure. So maybe the fifth book can be handed over to him. And I think
Yeah,
that we are
sure.
now done, including the fourth one was yours. So
Thank you.
now,
Please give me email ID, Shri.
right. So now, see, somebody had called me through the pandemic saying that I've started my own branding house or I've started my own digital agency, right? And I asked them, how are you going about it? So what they answered on how they're going about it is, oh, I'm doing some email marketing. I'm sending emails to people. I said, boss, if you had a family member with needed oxygen in the pandemic, what would you do? You would not be sitting at home and doing cold calls. You would be on the field, you'll be on the road, right? You will be desperate. And that desperation is required for any corporate employee, any startup founder to do. So it is not about saying that I will read a book and I will know everything. It's not about saying I will rest on my laurels and sab ho jayega, right? It is about you can achieve anything in the world. You can start your own branding house, you can start your digital agency, you can do anything, provided you are desperate enough. And to be desperate enough means I will get my hands dirty. I will actually understand what's happening. I mean, you cannot send a mail to a marketing head and expect to convert it. It's not going to happen because the marketing head gives that call to the media lady. The media person talks to her procurement team. The procurement team might talk to the media agency, a wave maker, who might then sublet that offer to every Tom, Dick, and Harry in every city out there. So there are so many people you need to know. You need to know the marketing head, you need to know the media head, you need to know the procurement agency, you need to know waymaker, you need to be competitive at the ground level. So life is not easy, it is messy. It's not, there is no straight line to say that, oh, I will send a mail and I will get business. You need to get deep into it. You need to talk to 100 people. You have to make 100 contacts. You need to get deep into what's really going on. You have to be deeply engaged. And if you're deeply engaged and you are desperate enough, then success is yours. Success is not given to people who sit on an armchair. No matter if you're a CMO or a CEO or a business head, everybody has to be equally desperate and equally passionate about success. Only then success comes.
Thank you so much, Saurabh. I think this session has been very insightful, and thanks for doing this amazing exercise of sharing the quiz so that people can identify the marketing acumen, sharing your genuine stories with us. These are very inspiring, and I will never forget your story about being a ASM, but taking on responsibility, proving your acumen out there. It's wonderful, and I think it's a big message to everyone out there who is listening. And also, thanks for sharing the talks that students can listen and benefit from. And thanks for sharing the 5 books that you are giving out for free to spread the knowledge. And thanks for creating that LinkedIn community, lot of posts which will help students to learn and then grow if they want to in marketing. So that's wonderful. And thank you to all the participants for making it interactive and for joining today, making this session successful. And I hope it's been insightful for the participants as well.
Great. Perfect. Thank you so much, everybody. Do feel free to try the quiz. Get your certificate. Feel free to share your learnings of the session. Tag me on LinkedIn. Buy my book. So there's a lot of interesting stuff which you guys can access. And looking forward to continue to interact.
Thank you guys. Wish you all the best. Bye.